Good morning, good evening, depending upon what part of the world you're in. If it's Friday, you know it's the CEO series where we bring together the most inspiring leaders from across the globe and they share their career journey. We're honored today to have Professor Ghassan Aouad, who's the Chancellor of Abu Dhabi University in the Middle East and globally recognized academic leader. 3 decades of experience has served as president of Applied Science University in Bahrain. He's held key roles at prestigious institutions across the UK, UAE, as well as Kuwait. His career is marked by significant contributions to research, leadership, development, academic innovation, and a true pioneer in higher education. And with that, I'd like to welcome my friend. How are you?
Thank you, Ron. I'm really grateful for this opportunity to be interviewed by yourself and to be part tonight of the strategy focus group and excellent work you are doing.
Thank you so much for being a guest. Well, one of the reasons we kind of developed this show is to talk about leaders because when you look at your career, you're now the Chancellor of Abu Dhabi University. You don't just get there by whatever means. So walk us through your career journey from your early days as a research fellow or university to get to here. How did that happen?
Thank you, Ron. My name is Ghassan Aouad. I was born in Lebanon. Did my first degree in Lebanon at Beirut Arab University and then went to the UK. I did my master's and PhD at Loughborough University. And in 1992, I moved to Salford University as a research fellow, as you rightly said, and stayed there for 20 years. And when I left, I was Pro-Vice Chancellor, like Deputy Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, and Dean of the College of Science and Technology. So I've performed every single role at Salford, from Director of a 5-star research institute to Head of School, Built Environment, to Dean of College of Business Law and Built Environment, and then to become Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research, Innovation and Internationalization, and then Pro-Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation and Dean of the College of Science and Technology. So I performed every single managerial almost and leadership role at different levels. So I've been exposed to the various levels of a university administration, having performed all these roles.
When you talked about all of those roles over a span of 20 years, that's a lot of change. How do you approach a new role? You're leaving the office on a Friday and you're coming back on a Monday with a totally new role. How does one immerse themselves into the new role? What does that learning journey look like?
Well, it's amazing. It's exciting because performing the same role for 20 years is a little bit boring, I think.
Yes.
I've been very, very fortunate to perform different roles, different levels, requiring maybe a different approach, different vision. And it's the excitement, a change is part of our academic life. You have to accept it and you have to embrace it. And you have to build on it and improve all the time. So every time I've gone up in the hierarchy, I learn more lessons. I did mistakes. I learned from them, and I had a clearer vision. Become more empathetic in my leadership style, more engaging. And this is absolutely amazing to perform a different role. And while I was in Salford, in fact, I was vice president and then president of the Charter Institute of Building between 2010 2014. And when I was inaugurated in 2014 at the 111th president of the Charter Institute of Building, I was the first president ever from the Middle East. And this institute was established in 1834. It's almost 200 years old. It has about 50,000 members from across the globe. So for somebody who comes from my ethnic background to be president of that institute was just an amazing experience for me. So I'm very, very proud of that period as well.
Yeah. So if you look back over those 20 years, which one of those transitions was more challenging? 20 years that you've done this, and I keep going here. Which one did you find most challenging if you were able to talk about that?
When you look at the different levels, to be honest, being head of school and dean of college, because you are focused on a particular area in the university is, I think, it's much more challenging and much more demanding. We should give a lot of respect to head of schools and deans of colleges or faculties because their jobs are very, very demanding. As you go on, of course, you become more strategic and encompassing all activities in the university. When I became a Pro Vice Chancellor for Research and Innovation, because you're responsible for research and innovation for the whole institution, not for a particular college. And then forgetting about your background, that you come from an engineering background and you have to treat everybody the same way. It's a little bit difficult. You have to adapt and change and believe that that's it now. You are no longer part of a particular school or college. You're part of the whole university, the strategic level. So that transition is it's not challenging, but it's interesting.
Mm. You know, you mentioned a word that's being talked about now because I do a lot of work in leadership development. They talk about empathy, empathetic, and you mentioned that just in talking through those 20 years of going through that to be more empathetic. Give us a little more on empathy and the role that plays.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because people confuse the word empathy with sympathy. I can have sympathy with you, but I may not have lived the same experience. So when somebody is telling me I'm doing a PhD and I'm really struggling, I would have empathy with them because I struggled like every single PhD student who at some stage think, oh my God, am I going to get it? Am I on the right track? And so on. The same applies post-COVID. When we all lived the same experience of COVID-19. So the issue of empathy had become so important for any leadership style because when you feel empathetic to somebody, then you know that you are living the same experience. You are isolated, you are not with your friends anymore, you are not on campus, and so on. So empathy now is so important, especially now after September 11th,
Yeah.
considering what's happening to our climate, through climate change, the transformation of technology through AI, health issues, I mean, issues related to sustainability and the Sustainable Development Goals, 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. When you see around you what's happening, when you know that 2 billion people don't have access to clean water, drinking water,
Yeah.
when there are 150 million kids don't go to school, when there are 150 maybe plus refugees, some are caused by wars and conflicts, some are caused by climate change, droughts, floods, and so on. So you have no choice but to have some sort of empathy in your values and your leadership style. And
Mm,
now we are dealing with a different generation, it's Generation Z, who
mm,
have different aspirations, different ambitions, different requirements. And I think a very large proportion of that generation uh, may be exposed to some sort of mental health because of COVID.
yeah.
So we have no choice but to have empathy at the heart of everything we do these days.
Mm. You just gave us a master class on walking through the new style of leadership, but I want to flip that back on you and ask you because you mentioned you from Lebanon, and I've been to Lebanon numerous times, was doing a lot of work there before everything kind of closed up. Where did that come from? Did that come from inspirations from growing up there and trying to move beyond that, or what is the groundings from Lebanon that you carry
Well, I
forward?
mean, of course, your upbringing, your family, your value system will shape your personality, your identity. I have a very strong value system. When I went to the UK, there are different values. I embrace what's really good, appropriate for me.
Okay.
My British friends and colleagues, they have embraced some of my values as well. So. As long as you have this value of tolerance and acceptance and coexistence and being able to integrate in a society, well, I mean, you are keeping your values
Mhm.
at the same time respecting other values. When you are in Rome, as the Romans do, I think it's important to respect certain nations' value. And I've been very, very lucky to be exposed to different values, whether in Lebanon or in the UK, or working for an Australian university, or having lived and worked in Kuwait and Bahrain, and now in the UAE. So it's I'm really, I consider myself fortunate to be exposed to different values and admire them, respect them, and embrace what's really appropriate for me. My upbringing in Lebanon have definitely played a major role. Uh, I was born in a small village, part of a large family, so this business of care and bonding and
Yeah,
etc. is so vital for us to survive, I think.
yeah. What I really loved about what you just talked about was how you embrace your upbringing and you kind of applied this a little here, kind of like putting together a recipe for, in leadership. So when you think of your leadership style, how would you describe the way that you lead people? Because you're now you lead a university. I mean, that's a whole lot of different job functions and all these kinds of things, personalities. How do you become the maestro of creating that symphony?
I mean, having done a lot of work in this area, as you mentioned, for the last maybe 30 years, I've been involved in senior leadership roles. And I've been now with Abu Dhabi University for 2 years and 1 month, in fact, as Chancellor of the university. It's a fantastic environment. The leadership style, I think, embraced by everybody from our visionary chairman downward is about inclusivity. It's a very supportive, engaging type of environment. I adopt an open door policy. People can come to me, students, faculty, staff, visitors, anytime. I don't live in an ivory tower at all. I think leaders who are living in ivory towers have gone. They are in the past. Leadership now is all about communicating properly, leading by example, uh, walking the talk, and so on. So, been fortunate to be a part of a very, very supportive culture at Abu Dhabi University. And we embraced technology, social media. When I came here 2 years ago, I don't think the university was very active on LinkedIn in particular. And now, almost every day, I see posts from my colleagues, from my students, alumni, promoting their achievements. Myself, I've been at the university now for 2 years nearly, and I posted 1,000 posts on LinkedIn,
Huh.
average 2 point something a day, and a very large number of posts are related to leadership styles, approaches, what's good, what's bad, how leaders succeed, how leaders fail. There are plenty of posts. I created my own personal page as well, and I have stored some really good presentations about leadership
Mm.
and past posts. My leadership style is just open, engaging, down to earth, maybe colored and shaped by my, I think I said to you before, in Lebanon. And I strongly feel that leaders should be on the ground. I go and visit
Uh,
colleagues in their offices once a month. I walk all the way through corridors. I go into their offices, say hi, how are you, what are you doing? They know that. And how long does it take me? 2 hours to do it every month. But the impact you can create, the atmosphere is just incredible.
yeah, the ROI that comes from that, spending a little time walking the floors. My first role into leadership, and I'm going to reference someone who's well known, was Martha Stewart. I worked for Martha Stewart for a long, long time, and I noticed she would do that. She would come in and she would just stop in someone's office and say, "What are you working on?" And but she built up that leadership style that no one was afraid to talk to her. Because you mentioned, I see leaders say, "I always have an open door policy," but nobody ever goes into that office because
Yes.
they're intimidated by going in there and they're going to be chewed out for whatever it is. But when you talk about building that policy of open doorism, and then you live that, you eat and breathe and sleep that as you walk through the corridors of the organization, it creates that connectivity. Would you say that's correct?
without any doubt. And it creates trust. And the most important element in leadership is trust. Once your colleagues trust you and they see you that you are leading by example, you are a role model for them. They really respect you, they engage with you, and even if they disagree with you, and we want them to disagree with us in order to improve the institution. I think it's not a one-man show, it's not yes, Prime Minister, and it doesn't work this way at all when it comes to leading universities. You have to listen, you have to engage with all the stakeholders. I have a lot of meeting with our students, with our alumni. They are our best ambassadors, and they are so proud of the university. How would you treat them? You treat them with respect. You build the trust element with them, and then life becomes easier, I think, as a leader.
Mm. The key point that you used in that your description was listening. You spend a lot of time listening as opposed to managing as they do the directives and all those kind of things. Listening is important. And there was a case study that was done post COVID that Microsoft did. And one of the key findings of that, they said organizations, so you're talking about all organizations, we need to start listening more. We need to start listening more to the levels, to our customers, listen to everyone as opposed to more being in that directive mode. When did you learn to listen? That may sound like a crazy question. How did you learn to listen? There's some stories that came about. I need to listen more. Let me just sit down and listen.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, sometimes it's not easy to say, I'm just, you're absolutely right, listening. But you have to make some efforts for sure. I mean, personally, I hate when people love to hear their own voice for the sake of hearing their voice, and they may not tell you anything useful and so. So when you cannot say something good, I think you better listen. And it's a part in science and in part art. I think the science of listening and the art of listening, listening at the right time, listening to the right people, and so on. I think it's important, but you cannot afford to listen all the time. Of course, you have to express your views about where we're going in terms of the vision, the directions, and engage with faculty and staff and students and alumni and stakeholders, our university partners, to see where we are going. Because we are on an exciting journey. We are going together to a very nice island. We want to make the university one of the best in the region and beyond. And this excitement, I think, create the environment for you to say whatever you like to say and listen to your colleagues and other stakeholders, encouraging them to tell you how they feel about it. In the university, I'm really proud that we have embraced different some changes in terms of even the titles of our divisions and departments. So our human resources department, led by a great leader, Alison Hamilton, we changed the title to Talent Empowerment and Growth.
Oh,
It's no longer human resources. We are talking about our faculty, our staff, our students, etc. Those are our talents, and we should support them. We should encourage them. We should listen to them. Another title we embrace is the title of our Vice Chancellor for Administrative and Financial Affairs. We changed it to the Vice Chancellor for AI and Operational Excellence.
wow.
It's led by Dr. Hamad Odabi, world leading figure in AI. But really, we're excited about even the changes in the titles of our colleagues and divisions and departments, because we want to be a modern organization, a modern university, embracing change, looking forward to a brighter future, but not living in the past, embracing the same titles as for the last, I don't know, 50 years maybe.
Yeah.
They have people, Department of Human Resources and Vice Chancellor for Financial and Administrative Affairs. Our chairman and the board of directors, they are very, very progressive in terms of embracing a new approach to leadership, to management, to organizational structure. And this enable us, once again, to encourage this culture of listening. We are telling our talents, you can tell us what you want. We listen to you. There's no culture of fear. It's a culture of support and respect and progress and moving forward and so on. So I think the way you almost maybe draw the boundaries of the organization by embracing innovative approaches, innovative titles, and
Yeah. Yeah.
good listening techniques, as you mentioned.
Yeah. It changes the branding, So, when I introduce you, this is what I came back and thought about. A true pioneer in higher education. Your thoughts and how you're moving university away from this is the way we do it to listening more inclusive. We listen to people and we're making all these changes. This is what I would say is a true pioneer because you're breaking down barriers. You're looking at things totally different as to how you would move it into a different direction. So I want to talk a little about mentorship because you are, I'm sure in your role now, you're mentoring a lot of other younger college professors that are coming in, students and all those kinds of different categories of people. How did you become a mentor? Was there someone in your career that had mentored you when you got to that roadblock and you couldn't figure it out, but there was a listening ear that you could talk to?
Turn it up. I mean, when I moved to Salford as a research fellow, I was mentored by a great leader and professor, Professor Peter Brandon, who is still a close friend of mine. He's still mentoring me, maybe until now, even though he has retired. And I learned the right techniques from him, how to become a good mentor. And of course, I mentored so many people in Salford University, at University of Wollongong, Dubai, at Gulf University for Science and Technology in Kuwait, at Applied Science University in Bahrain, and now at Abu Dhabi University. When you supervise 24 PhD successfully at Salford University, I
Yeah.
have been a mentor for them for 20 years because it was over the 20 years period, but you are making sure that they are going to complete their PhD successfully. And then the rest, when those guys have become very famous professors, so you are so proud of them, you to provide them, and they have become very famous international scholars, leaders in their areas, in their universities. And it's all about, because really, when a proper leader, I think, will be very proud of the achievement of his colleagues. In the university, we do a lot of work with advanced HE. In the UK, I became a fellow of advanced HE in 2003.
Okay.
And now my colleagues in the university have become principal fellows and much, much higher than me. I go and promote them on LinkedIn. I post about them individually when they achieve the principal fellowship. And I feel I've achieved it myself. I haven't. They did. But when you create this environment, when you feel that for every achievement you have done it yourself
Yeah.
and you haven't,
Yeah.
it's this is a problem thing, I think, and they keep telling me, why don't you apply for principal fellows? I said, but you are principal fellows. I have mentored so many colleagues in the past to become fellows and senior fellows and principal fellows of advanced HE. But mentoring is vital, and for those guys who don't have proper mentoring, I think they would struggle. If you have a mentor who help you, a mentor could be. I mean, in my job now, we have really a visionary chairman. He's much younger than me, but I listen to him as a mentor in many areas where he has a lot of experience. He guide you properly. He has big vision. I listen to him. I learn from him, and I hope he will learn from me as well. But it's all to do with mentoring. Mentoring is vital, I think.
And guiding that forward. So when you look at all the accomplished people, that could become a little intimidating. And this is from my side. You got PhDs and all these learned people, but for someone who's going through the challenges, you're kind of sitting there listening, and as you're mentoring these people, you've been there, done that. So it's not like someone coming in and say, "Here's what you do, one, two, three." The role that you played over that 20 years of progression, do you pull back on those situations and say, when I was here, this was happening? Let me just kind of walk you through. Is that instrumental in your style?
I'm sure you evolve with time. I think you become more experienced with time, for sure. But when I look back and I see moments of pride where I have helped so many people, and I may have failed in some instances to help them for all sorts of reasons. But when you live and work without maybe worrying that much about, oh my God, if I mentor this guy and he becomes more important than me and he will take my role or my job, and it happened. I came across it with some people. I've always lived my life, that whatever is meant to be, it's meant to be. It comes from God and hard work. So you work hard, you work with integrity, with ethics, with respect, with support. And yes, of course, this will be rewarding, but God will be watching and seeing that you are a decent individual who has no other interest but the interest of the institution and the interest of their colleague.
Wow.
When, as you grow older, you start seeing why I'm doing this job, why I shouldn't retire maybe. Then you say, I'm doing it because I love doing it. It's in my heart. Yeah, I keep telling my chairman that I love the university so much that I cannot relax even when I want to go on holiday. I cannot switch off if possible. I have to think about what's next, in what way I can improve, in what way I can help my colleagues. And when you look at our achievement, I mean, the rewards we get from the achievement for a university which is 21 years old, to be ranked in the top 200 in the world in the Times Higher Education prestigious ranking. We are ranked 191, number 2 in the region after King Fahd University for petroleum and mineral. When you look at our QS ranking, we are ranked 12th in the Arab region. When you look at our accreditation, we have accreditation from the United States, from WASP. We have accreditation from the CAA in the UAE. Our business college has double accreditation from AACSB and EQUIS. Only 2% of business schools across the globe have double accreditation. When you look at our engineering programs, they are accredited by, most of them, by ABIT, and the architecture program is accredited by RIBA. When you look at our public health program, is accredited by a European accreditation body, APHEA. When you look at the amount of research we have done, doubling and tripling our research, when you look at the number of patents, when you look at the number of advanced HE fellows, senior fellows, principal fellows, and this is within a short time. I mean, this is what I'm talking about, the vision. When you have a leader with a vision, and that's what we're repeating, that the vision, our chairman. We have a board of trustees as well, chaired by His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Zayed, and they provide us with the guiding vision and the directions for sure. But for a university which is competing on world stage, not in the region, believe me, internationally now, we have touch partnerships with so many institutions from the United States, from Australia, from Canada, from the United Kingdom, from Europe, from China, from India, and Arab world, and so on. People are coming to us to say, we want to partner with you. So you have become a university of choice as well for partnerships. We want to be a university of choice for students. We have students from over 100 nationalities, faculty and staff from over 43 nationalities. So we have a true cosmopolitan university, vibrant, different languages spoken on campus. People live and work with tolerance, coexistence. In the UAE, in fact, we have a ministry of tolerance and coexistence headed by His Excellency Sheikh Nahyan Mubarak Nahyan. It shows that when you create this culture of innovation, culture of excellence, culture of ethics, culture of quality, I keep telling my colleagues in the university, if you have leadership, if you have vision, if you have quality, if you have innovation, and most importantly, have passion, you want to make your university one of the best in the region, you can make it. You can make it. I'm telling you this. You need the leadership, you need the vision, you need the innovation, you need the quality. And at the same time, you have to look after your students. And you know, Ron, when I was growing up in Lebanon, people used to ask me, what's your IQ? And if your IQ is high, you're going to do really well in life. There was no talk about emotional intelligence,
Yes.
social intelligence. social intelligence, digital intelligence, media intelligence, charisma intelligence, leadership. You can go forever. There are 21 types of intelligence.
Yeah.
And this is what we want to give to our students. We want to make sure that they are equipped with a degree which represent maybe 50% of their competencies. But we want to give them the skills which enable them to compete in the marketplace, not only in the UAE, but globally. We want to make them citizens. We want to give them the right graduate attributes. And this is where our leadership of student affairs, led by Dr. Shakib and Dr. Nata and so on, they are just embracing philosophy of helping our students and our alumni to become citizens of the world, equipping them with the right technology. Because this generation is a digital native generation, they are tech savvy. And
Yes.
the digital gap now, Ron, is between the students and the faculty and
Yes.
between the parents.
Yeah.
So we're dealing with a generation which is ambitious, knowledgeable. They are exposed to information day and night. They know how to get it. They know how to analyze it, and they can learn on their own. They are self-learners. So our leadership style here even is by our Professor Harry O'Mahony, who's leading our teacher learning and assessment strategies now in order to cope with the changes in the environment because of AI, because of COVID,
Yeah.
because of climate change, because of health, because of financial frameworks, and so on.
You know, in walking through that, you know what stood out to me? You said in 21 years, the universe has been into existence. But when you talk about the accolades of 21 years that you've reached at, a lot of universities have been there for hundreds of years and
Yes.
don't have the credibility of being acknowledged for all of those key thoughts. I was trying to write some down. I said, no, I just take it 21 years you've done all these kinds of things because that is huge because now you have a success story, but that does not come. And I'll go back to what you were saying, unless you have the right leadership in place that fosters that growth.
Absolutely, without any doubt. And it's leadership at all levels, from the board of directors downwards to the senior leadership team, to the faculty, to the staff, to students, to alumni, everyone. I mean, everybody. It's distributed leadership. Every person should be a leader in their own institution, and they can excel in their own way within their own department. But this is what we're creating. We're creating this culture of excellence and quality. We are encouraging, we run a lot of training and faculty development. My colleague, Dr. Mohammed Seha, who leads the faculty development in the university, and he's director of our Al Ain campus, in fact. The same in Dubai with Dr. Anas Najdawi, the director of the Dubai campus. We are really helping our colleagues and the work done by our talent empowerment and growth. We do a lot of workshops for staff development and faculty development. So these are essentials for us to make sure that our faculty and staff are trained in fact, last week we had an external consultant running a series of workshops for us on leadership. And we invited a selected number of staff, faculty, and leaders in the university in order to help them. At the same time, we're working with Advanced HE in the UK in order to develop our faculty and staff to become true leaders in education and higher education.
Professor, I think your video is off because all we're not seeing you. So if you could check that for a second, but we can still continue. So
Yes.
you mentioned a campus in Dubai. I didn't know you had a campus in Dubai. So you're expanding the brand of Abu Dhabi University to other Middle Eastern countries, possibly, or
For now, we have three campuses. We have one in Abu Dhabi, the main campus, and we have one in Dubai, and we have one in Al Ain. And of course, I mean, in our job, we have to explore opportunities. If there's some opportunities for us to set up overseas, for sure, we'll explore it. And then maybe I'm trying to find out why the video has gone.
yeah, the video's just clicked off.
Refresh? Can I refresh? Do you think?
Not quite sure from my side. Is your IT person still there?
Let me check 1 second.
Yeah, we have a few more minutes to. Just hold on just 1 second. We just had a little blip. As you know, technology, sometimes you'll have these kinds of things. Interesting, the leadership in academia, sometimes you would think for someone in a tech company or marketing company would become a true visionary. And lots of times we short shift and say, well, in academia, maybe it's not that way. But I think what he's shown is that this level of leadership and innovation and all these kind of things that's coming about show that this can also be done from a university that started 21 years ago and were able to achieve all those acknowledgments. And those acknowledgments from in academia is not as easy as you would possibly think. But he was able to do that and guide that vision. So you think about a new level of leadership inside of an organization. If I flip it back to the for-profit, this kind of visionary leadership is needed in organizations today because he mentioned empathy. Empathy is one of the key components today of leadership. And okay, we're back on track now. So I was just kind of walking through as we were trying to get this figured out. The innovation that's coming from you and what we've learned this morning from you, and if we could apply that to tech companies, for-profit companies, because they're for-profit companies that don't even get what you're talking about there. They talk a good game, but they're not able to make it happen. In other words, they got the strategy, but they can't move forward to that. So thank you for kind of giving us a masterclass of the level of leadership, whether it's profit or nonprofit. Let me ask you this. I wanted to talk a little about how do you learn? Now you have all the accolades. You have, I'm sure if I'd go into your office, you've got plaques all over the place, but the learning doesn't stop. What does continuous learning look like from your side? How do you learn being a professor? Not only that, but a leader. How does professor learn?
But professors, I think anybody who thinks that they know it all, of course, they are naive and almost stupid because we learn almost on a daily basis from each other. Now, I mean, I couldn't figure out the camera, but my office director came to help me with the camera. So we're all learning from each other. There's no question about it. I think what's important for us to learn on a continual basis, but at the same time to unlearn certain things which don't
Ah,
help us at all. If I look back and then say, how did I do that? I shouldn't have done it. So I have to unlearn that,
right.
unlearn certain things in life in order to learn better, learn more, and experiment with the new ideas. Life goes on. I mean, you have seen, Ron, generative AI has been with us for 2 years. It's not long, not less than 2 years yet, not long time ago. And if you don't adapt, if you don't change, if you don't learn about AI now, even though we're not the AI generation, you will be out for sure. You have to use it somehow. We encourage our students, in fact, to use AI, and we tell them to be ethical. We produce guidelines for them. But learning is a continuous process. You will learn all your life, and every single
Mm.
day you will learn from someone
Oh,
by communicating with others, being engaging, listening. You will learn.
you mentioned a key term there that I like to use a lot. How do you unlearn? And so I say that to say it's like you're in academia, you have all the credentials, you have all of the learnings and research and all of that, but sometimes you may have to unlearn. For a leader to be comfortable with say, you know what, that won't work today, and I have to maybe try a different style. You talk about generational. I think this is the first time we've had four generations inside of a workforce. And so what happened in the older generation, I may have to unlearn that for the younger generation. That's a key concept.
I agree. I mean, if you look at how life goes on from the agricultural revolution to the industrial revolution, and then to the knowledge, innovation, and the rest, and now with the AI revolution moving so fast, it took maybe generations before to move from one revolution to another, and now it's taken the same generation to go through the same revolution, which is interesting. So if you don't unlearn certain things which were not appropriate in the past, I mean, one thing, if you are a professor and you want to embrace the same learning and teaching style which you embraced when you were young, and you want to apply it to your students, how can they learn in a different environment where they have different learning abilities, different learning styles? They are digital natives, they are tech savvy, as we mentioned before. If you don't unlearn certain things and you learn new things, you cannot teach them. As simple as that. This is a very basic and simple example. Imagine in leadership, if if I have adopted the approach of sympathy and COVID comes along and to see what's happening around us in wars and peace and security and climate change and the rest, and we don't embrace empathy. We're not saying unlearn sympathy, but at least embrace, learn more about empathy, because it's all about empathy now, about sympathy. There are certain practices which were not useful for us at some stage in life. We should unlearn them, we should get rid of them, and we should embrace a new, modern, progressive type of approach to leadership and even to teaching in the classrooms.
Mm. If you could go back to your younger self, just finishing university, from where you are now, what advice would you give the younger professor, Ghassan? What advice would you give that person?
I will. I mean, to be honest, I don't know how life goes on because you cannot decide it. I think it's decided for you, maybe. When I finished in Lebanon my degree as in civil engineering, I thought this is the end of my really,
Yeah.
at least education. No more education. That's it. I've done my bachelor degree. But then I realized, I mean, the war was still raging in Lebanon. We had Hariri Foundation
Yeah.
giving scholarships to Lebanese. The late Rafiq Hariri sent, Prime Minister of Lebanon, he sent 34,000 students to study in the United States, Canada, Europe, and Lebanon, the Arab world. And I benefited from that opportunity. And I went to a different country. I have to face different challenges maybe, but I work very hard. So I keep telling the generation, if you believe in yourself, if you work hard, if you are committed, if you are ethical, if you have integrity, if you have passion for what you are doing, you will succeed. As simple as that. For the younger generation, I would say to them, you should have the passion to do what you want to do. And for parents, not to force them something, do something they don't want. They should choose what they want to study, what career they want to go into. They may get advice from the parents, from families, from friends, but they should have passion for what they're going to do.
Mm, mm. Just want to acknowledge before we close out some of our listeners today. Sarup was here earlier. He says, best wishes to you. And we spoke of this earlier. John Self, who always listens in on Friday, as well as Peter Piccinini, who says a great way to start Friday morning with the CEO series. Jim Moy, who's my good friend in Washington, D.C., spent some time with him last week on my business trip there. Saeed Tafiq, from Montreal says, good morning from Montreal. Um, John Self again says, why do leaders run from soft skills? They want the hard skills. Why do leaders find that so hard to do the soft skill thing? Tackle that question from John. Why do you think leaders are running away from the empathy piece and the soft stuff?
Absolutely right, without any doubt. I mean, I think at least embracing or learning soft skills is slightly harder than hard skills for sure, because you can attend a lecture, learn about a particular subject, and that's it. You can get high grade, and reality, you may not succeed in life, because we know when you go for interview now as a graduate, you can impress the employer by your personality, by your charisma, by your leadership skills, by your bargaining skills, by your research skills, analytical skills, critical thinking skills, and so on. So learning soft skills is really, really vital these days, because mean, we know some like accountancy companies. They may take graduates of technology or psychology or whatever, they train them to become chartered accountant, but they recruit them because of their charisma, because of their personality, because of their leadership skills. They can bring more value to them than a graduate in the discipline. And we have seen now a change in a way that graduates now, they can go and work in different disciplines.
Mm.
They can learn the trade. It's not that difficult. And this generation is self-learner. So I agree with you. Hard skills are easier than
Yes.
soft skills, in fact. But if we don't embrace soft skills, especially for our students, for our graduates,
Yeah.
I don't think we are giving them the right degree. If we say, let's give them a degree and they can go, this is the passport, but they need the
Mm.
visa. The visas are the personality, the charisma, the soft skills. They
Yes.
need to survive in a very, very competitive environment. And I think the emphasis at ADU now, as I mentioned to you before, we have the graduate attributes. We run a lot of workshops to our students. We have one, I should have mentioned this, in fact, and we have something called Investing in Our Community initiative led by our VC for AI and operational excellence, Mohammed
Wow.
Abu Dhabi. And we tend to run lectures to the public, to the community, on different subjects. I ran two lectures for him, in fact, on the art and science of leadership and how to succeed in doing a PhD. It was
Mm.
attended by 400, 500, 600 people from across the globe, PhD
Wow. Wow.
candidates, men. And we run a lot of courses here on Dr. Hamad to our students on AI, the ethics of using AI, hands-on training. We run courses for schools in Abu Dhabi in collaboration with EDIC. Uh, so we are embracing the new technology, and we're helping our students, our graduates, our alumni, our school kids as well. And we have people coming from overseas to be trained by us. Of course, our Ministry of Higher Education, Scientific Research, the Commission for Academic Accreditation, the Abu Dhabi Department of Knowledge and Education, for Education and Knowledge, and KHDA have transformed our institutions in the UAE through proper strategy, guiding visions, and we have seen a lot of improvement in the higher education sector
Yeah.
in UAE and the Gulf region. And I think this is reality. At ADU, I mentioned to you the transformation. I think key to us is having the right leadership team at senior level. And we have fantastic office director here who helps me day and night with running the office. We have our VC and provost, but our deans and our heads of divisions, departments. At the same time, our faculty and staff, who are the real asset, the human capital of the university, working very, very hard to provide the best learning experience to our students, because it's our moral duty and professional duty. Those parents have trusted us to provide their kids with the best learning experience. And this is our very top priority, is to make
Mm.
sure that our students are at the heart of everything. And we mean it.
So the goal for the CEO series, as we close out, last point, was to bring leaders like yourselves and talk through the journey. I wish I could clone you and to bring you to leadership development conferences, because you gave us a master class, 45 minutes. You kind of walked us through not only for academia, but how you lead inside of an organization. How do you present yourself as a leader? How do you learn from what you're doing? And all those kinds of things. So I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for carving out the time to be a guest on the CEO series. So as we begin to close, would you have some closing thoughts on the session today, or what would you like to leave us with as we close out?
I think we should embrace a different style of leadership now, for sure, because of the changes in our environment. We should build trust within organization. We should lead by example. And I should tell our students, the younger generation, that you can make it. You have to believe in yourself. You work hard. You have passion for what you are doing, and you will succeed.
thank you so much for being a guest on the CEO series this Friday. I want you to hang on as we close out because I want to speak to you about something. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take the CEO series with you anywhere, anytime. All episodes are now available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and major streaming platforms. It's not just an interview. It's a masterclass in leadership.